Peter Parker is back, and this time he's lonelier than ever. He saved the world once again, but at great cost. Everyone on the planet has forgotten who Peter Parker was and is. Will he make some friends? We find out in Spider-Man Brand New Day. I'm Ronald Young Jr., and I'm leaving the theater. All right, this is Ronald, and I am leaving the theater after seeing Spider-Man Brand New Day. Spider-Man Brand New Day, written by McKenna and Erik Sommers, directed by Destin Cretton, starring Tom Holland, Zendaya, Sadie Jacob Batalon, John Bernthal, Florence Pugh, Trammell Tillman, Michael Mando, and Mark Ruffalo. Per usual, for a complete listing of the cast and crew, please go to the link in our show notes. It is just me today. Spider-Man Brand New Day is the fourth entry in the Tom Holland Spider-Man series. The Tom Holland Spider-Man series is also the marker of when Spider-Man truly became a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and these movies were taken over by Marvel Studios, even though the property is still owned by Sony. So the IP belongs to Sony. Marvel Studios is making the film. They are now part of Kevin Feige and the rest of the MCU. The reason why this is important is because now it means that these movies are incorporated into the larger storylines of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which isn't super important for a casual Spider-Man watcher, meaning that you're someone who just goes and sees if there's a new Spider-Man movie, I'm going to see it. You saw Spider-Man, you saw Spider-Man 2, you saw Spider-Man 3, you saw The Amazing Spider-Man, you saw The Amazing Spider-Man 2, then you saw Spider-Man Homecoming, and then Spider-Man No Far From Home, and then Spider-Man No Way Home, and then Spider-Man Brand. It doesn't matter. As long as Spider-Man's in there, you're going to see it. It probably doesn't make that much of a difference for you, to be honest, because everything that has happened in the Spider-Man universe is only mildly impacted in the main plots of these films. For instance, in this film, there's the Department of Damage Control, which is something, oh my God, actually, no, because if you've seen Spider-Man 1, the Department of Damage Control is there. So essentially, everything that has happened since the first Avengers, and then when Captain America fought Iron Man, all of that, elements of that is incorporated into this movie. However, again, if you've never seen any other MCU film, and you're like, Ronald, I just want Spider-Man, this is still a good movie for you. There is one major spoiler in this film, and I'm not going to say it, okay? And it involves who Sadie Sink's character is, and I'll leave it at that. That's been the big thing. If you look up anything that tells you who she is, then I think it might, especially if you are an MCU fan, it might harm your viewing experience. There was a genuine moment of surprise that I had, because I had no idea who this person was. And when they reveal, I felt genuinely surprised. So avoid those spoilers, and I'm not going to add them here either. And I think it's still easy to review this movie without talking about her character, because there's so much other parts of this. Like the fact that in Spider-Man No Way Home, one of the biggest parts of it is at the very end of the movie, the world has forgotten who Peter Parker is. He basically does not exist in this timeline. He does exist, but they don't know who he is. He is essentially wiped from their memories. which means that for his best friend Ned, played by Jacob Batalon, and his girlfriend MJ, played by Zendaya, they have no idea who he is, and he has decided that it is in his best interest. Spider-Man, Peter Parker, has decided that it is in his best interest not to ever tell them who he is because it would put them in danger, which this movie opens with him being very, very isolated. It's the male loneliness epidemic. That's what we're dealing with here. He's by himself. He's trying to be a superhero by himself, and he's doing a very good job. It shows him taking down a litany of superheroes of supervillains throughout the beginning of the film in kind of a montage fashion, which was actually kind of entertaining because it felt like we got the Spider-Man show that would have existed if these movies didn't exist. So, as it came on, very entertaining. As it went on, stayed entertaining. It really deals with Peter Parker / Spider-Man. It deals with him growing up. I decided to start watching the Tom Holland Spider-Mans from the very beginning. Turned on the first one, and I'm just reminded that one of the advantages of this film and the newest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, is that we're reminded that these are children. When the first movie starts, I think Peter is about 15 or 16 supposed to be. By the time we get to this, he's probably about 22, 23. And I think Tom Holland is a little older than that. I think he's like 26 or 27. So when you see Tom Holland in this, you see that his friends are going to college and they have not remembered him, but everyone's getting a little bit older. And it's older in a way, like we spent so much time in the first movie being like, you're just a kid. You can't do all this stuff by yourself. And now he's kind of growing into the loneliness of adulthood, which is the idea of us going off by ourselves and accomplishing all of these tasks that we're supposed to do, trying to do the best job we possibly can, and ultimately all feeling a little bit lonely. Everyone feeling like, oh man, I got to do this on my own. I got to keep doing these chores. Ugh. And then the time that we do feel together is when we're scrolling on our phones, looking at our feeds and feeling relatable because other people are talking about experiences that they're having that are very similar to our own. So this is, it's a film that really leans into inside the head, and I think there's a preview that's going around that shows Spider-Man jumping off a roof, and then you zoom inside of his mask and you kind of get a view of his eye inside of the mask, and everyone's always like, oh, there wasn't enough room. But I think it was a very funny internet discourse about this. But what struck me is that there is a sense of loneliness even when you're working in your purpose. That's something that really resonated with me. I mean, I'm sitting in a car alone, reviewing this movie alone. I'll go edit it alone. I'll post it, and I'll get like one or two people that are like, yo, we listened to your Spider-Man review. So I know somebody's listening, but it's really a very much a solo act. And that just really resonated with me. I'm not a superhero by any means, but I am an adult and I do have a job, and doing the job, the benefits of the job sometimes, even though they can be cool, sometimes I don't always get to share them with people. And so that really felt resonant. They really nailed that home. This idea that he's by himself, he's working on his suit, he's trying to get better all the time, and he's doing this all by himself. It's very increasingly isolating. And so in the film, it kind of goes through the fact, it kind of takes us on a journey of him not necessarily developing a crew, but being reminded that he doesn't have to do this by himself. And I think that's a very good message for a film like this. Now, I will say the weak point of that is that there is some in the head stuff, like psychic, inside the mind stuff going on here. And a lot of the climax of the movie is the same resolution I felt like that existed with Thunderbolts. And what I don't mind that happened. What I do mind is that there was no acknowledgement that's what was happening. And Thunderbolts was probably the last good MCU movie before this one. I couldn't tell you what I don't even know what the others were, honestly. All I know is Thunderbolts is a good movie. it's not, I don't think it's a great movie, but it is a good movie. And it's, in terms of MCU, it's probably still on the lower 50%, but it is still better than a lot of the stuff that's come out in phase 6. So for me to use something like, we have to solve this inside of our brains, to use that same kind of trope in this Spider-Man, for me, felt like, are we doing this again? Are we going to do a lot of this in phase 6? Is there more of this coming? This movie is meant to, it's the last movie we'll see before the Avengers, which I think is kind of a mistake now that I've seen the whole thing, because I don't know that this pointed us any closer to the next film. And I think what most people need to remember, especially if you're an MCU fan, is that in phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, they did a very, very good job of connecting the films, of saying, we have to do a lot of this chunk of thing before we move to the next thing. In this movie, they do that, but they don't do it for Avengers. And I can't tell you what they do it for, because that would be a spoiler. But I will say that if you are an MCU fan at large, not necessarily Avengers, I'm already saying too much, but those of you that know what I'm talking about know exactly what I'm talking about when I say this. You can probably hear the excitement in my voice. It is like, this is not a drill. Just say that, and it's wow. So they do some setup, and I can see that they're hopefully getting back to a place where they're saying, we got to put the pieces together, because everything that we do is meant to be built into something big, but also stands alone on its own. And the good thing about Spider-Man is IP and a character and a superhero that can do all of those things. They do a lot in this movie talking about how New York has embraced Spider-Man. They show him working with the cops. F the police forever. Don't like that at all. However, in this case, in this world, the cops are the idealistic version of the cops that actually do stuff to stop crime, not just to protect the interests of rich people and rich people's property. Therefore, him working with, air quote, the cops is not working with the cops in the sense that we would know them, although he does make a mistake in trusting the government and authority that ends up being costly to him in this film, which to me is a meta commentary on our own relationships with oppressors, with power, and with government. However, I don't think that this film knows that that's exactly what's happening here. Maybe it's Destin Daniel Cretton. This is a person that is sharp. He did Short Term 12, I want to say. This is a person that really knows he's hip. So I'd hope that something like that was intentional. Do like the whole New York embracing Spider-Man. It felt very New York. There's just a few scenes where people are like, we love Spider-Man, which I love that. I did miss J. Jonah Jameson hating Spider-Man. I wish that was still there, but it's fine that it's not. There's no photography. There's no Daily Bugle or Daily Planet, whatever is a Daily Bugle, whatever the newspaper is that a Spider-Man traditionally works for, takes pictures for. That's not in this film, and I was fine with that. There's a lot of this that I felt like I just enjoyed. I sat down, I watched the movie, I enjoyed it. Yeah, I liked it. It was a good Spider-Man movie. It was a good MCU movie. It was a good movie. It was not a great MCU movie, but it was a very good MCU movie. With all of that being said, I believe this is a solid 4 out of 5 star movie. I was sitting in the theater and I was thinking the last 3 movies I've seen, including this one, I've given 4 stars to. I've seen The Invite, I've seen The Odyssey, all 4 stars, all movies I would watch again. I've seen The Odyssey twice. I would watch The Invite absolutely again. And so I was sitting there and I was like, is this a cut above the others? Let me think about it for a second. I'm going to give it 4.10 stars. I'm going to give it 4.10 stars. I liked it a little bit better than I liked those other 2. But it's still in the 4-star family. And I'm only thinking that in terms of my 4.25 star is the drama. And I just still don't think anything's rising up to the drama right now. And there's another film that I gave 4.25 to. I think it's The Sheep Detectives, maybe. Another solid entry into the Whodunit series. So yeah, I think I'd give this 4.10 stars. It's a solid 4-star movie. I mean, it's like, but I think it's just a little bit better than those last 2 that I said. Worth watching. I'm interested in seeing where it goes from here. You do not need to stay for the end credits scene. It was a giant waste of time. It gave us, give us nothing. It was, yuck. Anyway, And with that, Leaving the Theater is a production of Oh, It's Big Ron Studios. I mixed this episode, and by the time you are hearing this on Monday, there's already an announcement in Patreon about what is coming next. I'm very excited to share that with y'all. I'm working very hard. I've already done the prep for the next film, which is One Night Only, which comes out next week. I'm very excited about watching that. A good romantic comedy in theaters. Hope it's good. I'll be seeing that with Jonquilyn Hill. I'm pumped. I'm planning. I got more than one show going right now. I got more than one prep session going right now. Most of August, I will be writing and reviewing tape and working with my editor to put out a podcast. So I'm very excited about doing that. I'm also very excited about the work that I'm doing here on Leaving the Theater. I am continuing to grow. I am moving forward career-wise, and the help that I get from patrons is valuable. It is very valuable. And I'm working on making it more tangible, more extras. For those of you that have just stuck it out without getting much in the Patreon, y'all are the real heroes. But for those of you that want more is absolutely coming. This is a labor of love, but it's still labor. If that means something to you, go to patreon.com/ohitsbigron or go to the link in our show notes. Show art from Heather Wilder. Theme music by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. For more information about Spider-Man Brand New Day, check out our show notes. You can follow me on Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, Threads, or Letterboxd at ohitsbigron. That's at OHITSBIGRON. You can find out more about this show and other Oh It's Big Ron Studios shows by following us on Instagram at Oh It's Big Ron Studios. Leaving the Theater will be back soon. Thanks for listening. I'm Ronald Young Jr., and I'm not a superhero by any means, but I am an adult, and I do have a job.